Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? Because it's time to put them on. Because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You are back at the location, the hot spot, the place where the conversations are pointed and the guests are sharp. There she is. And the responses are never dull. Today, we're going to one of my favorite places on the planet, Ireland. Yes, Ireland. AnneMarie Graham. She is the owner of Mindset Success Strategies. Very different from her. For her. She originally came from the nursing background, but now she is nursing and pouring into people in a totally different way, in a coaching perspective. But she knows how to heal, she knows how to help, she knows how to be empathetic, and she knows how to coach people when they are unsure of themselves. So we're going to have a conversation with her today that is going to be over the top. Brains, I need you to go get a pen and piece of paper. I want you to take some notes. I want you to learn something here, okay? Outside of learning an Irish jig or having a good Irish cup of coffee. So welcome to the show, AnneMarie. How are you today, beautiful?
I'm really good, April. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm excited. We are going to Ireland next year. We're going to go to Ireland and Scotland. My daughter was there and she says, Mommy, she says, I want a Highland cow and I want to bring home a cute redhead. And the Irish people are so nice and it's so green and lush. Have you lived in Ireland your entire life?
With the exception of 4 years, I lived in London. Yes, I've been in Ireland all my life. Yeah,
oh,
it's a
my
fabulous
goodness.
place. Beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I heard that it's a really, really beautiful place and people are very connected there. It is a great sense of community. It's not this distant learning. It's not this, let's do everything online. It's like, let's sit together, let's have a meal, let's commune, let's get to know one another. Is that what you find true?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The pandemic changed that and got us online, but yes, before that, definitely it was very much about the connection, and it still is, but it was very face-to-face orientated.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your story and your journey and how you show up in the world.
My story, yeah, it's a different one. As you said, I'm a nurse by profession. I'm a very unlikely business owner, actually. I failed business studies in school. At 15 years old, I was told, no, you're not really good at maths. You failed business studies. You wouldn't be suited for business. Stick with the nursing. That's what the teacher told me. But I always had I always wanted to be a nurse. So I always had a passion for helping people, for caring for people. But I also had an entrepreneurial spirit as well that I feel was kind of, quenched at 15 when I was told, no, your business is not for you. You failed the exams, you're not good at maths. So stuff like that. So I kind of put that out of my head, progressed really well through nursing, loved my nursing career, went into workplace health. And then in 2004, I started my first business. So I actually had gone for a job where the person who got the job over me wasn't as well qualified, hadn't as much experience. And I thought, right, I can learn from this and I can look at what direction I can take. And I thought, okay, the fastest way to CEO or director level is to start my own business. So I had worked in London for 4 years, and their model of healthcare in the workplace was very nurse-led, which wasn't the way it was in Ireland. So I took the ideas that I learned and I thought, right, I could bring this to Ireland. And outside of 2 or 3 really big providers at the time, I was probably the only one who was dealing with smaller and medium enterprise market. So decided to start the business, grew the business very successfully. Actually, my highest years of growth were through the recession, and Ireland were very well documented as a casualty and a cause in some respects of our recession in 2008, 2009. But actually, I grew, April, which was brilliant. And I acquired then one of my competitors in the health screening area in 2012, merged them with the business that I had, and then sold the business in 2015, which was always the dream and always the plan to take it on as a 10-year project, to build it and sell it.
Mhm.
And really, I suppose, to prove to myself or to see if I would be able to do that.
Right.
So I sold on year 11.
Well, it's amazing some of the things that you said that I want to dial back on, because I'm currently reading a book called The Four Agreements.
Yes, I
And
love it.
if you agree with it, it's your reality.
Yes.
And your words are so powerful.
Mhm.
And someone planted a seed in you in the age of 15 that you weren't this, that you weren't that you couldn't do this. And you started to believe that.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, you have a new agreement with yourself. You have a new
Mhm.
conversation. You're speaking a different language. You're changing the mindset. And
Mhm.
now you have springboard not only to a nursing career that was very successful, but you transposed the business model, created a business, a successful business, sold the business, and now doing another business. So the word can't is very limiting. And when we speak that into fruition for ourselves, it's self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
And I have
Absolutely.
that I am conversation, and I love and I will as a part of my manifestation. I want to
Mhm.
talk to you a little bit about manifestation,
Mhm.
because people think that it's a vision board or they think it's a wish list, but you have to show up, brains. You've
Yeah.
got to do the work. You've got
Yeah.
to hold your hand and help you through the roughest parts of it, because you need a cheerleader. You need a coach. How do you feel about coaching? That's a heavy responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, coaching has always been self-development has always been a passion of mine. I've studied self-development for years. My clinical background in nursing was neuroscience, which is all about the brain and the mind.
Mm,
And I was always fascinated by how some people do things and achieve great success, and other people, with all else being equal, just don't have the mindset to do that. And I saw it over the years with patients with all the odds stacked against them, where their mindset was so strong, had such great outcomes, and others where it was something seemingly very minor, but they predicted all of the complications and all of the things, the I can'ts, and that's what they got. And it's the one thing I say to my clients, we find what we focus on, and too often we're focused on the wrong stuff. I was focused on why I couldn't be a business leader, I couldn't own my own business, rather than looking at, no, the phenomenal potential I have within me requires me to think a different thought, to reframe something that someone else has said that was their stuff, not mine. And I guess I'm a product of my product because I've done it. So with coaching, I think we bring out of people what's already there. They
absolutely.
just need to believe it. They need to borrow my belief in them or their coach's belief in them, and they need to work through the tools to change the mindset, shift the thinking, reframe the limiting beliefs. And that's the power of coaching for me. And the other power with coaching is holding the person accountable.
Exactly. And being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Being consistent. That is a promise
Mm-hmm.
that I have made to myself on one particular issue that I'm working on in my life, is that, I've accomplished all my goals. I've exceeded my own expectations, but there's certain things, and I'll share, brains. It's, eating, lifestyle change, because I love to eat and luxuriate and have a cocktail every now and then. I'm not a big drinker, but I was into sweets, but now it's like I'm a woman of a particular age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I owe this to myself. I have to keep a promise to myself. And to do that is to be consistent. So what do? I give myself daily stars.
Love it.
Reward and recognize myself. I don't need, I do need a vacation. I always love a vacation, but I don't need a fancy purse. I don't need clothes. I don't need a car. I just need something to pat myself on the back and not wait for external validation. So many times when we are in this process of flux, we're waiting to be validated by someone else. Oh, April, AnneMarie, you look great. I see you lost the weight. Or, oh, great, I see you bought a new car. or I see that you and your husband are getting along. You're waiting for someone else to acknowledge it instead of acknowledging it for yourself. What are some of the things that you do to reward and recognize yourself when you do a good job?
So for me, I guess that has changed over my, I'm 19 years. I was 19 years in business in March, and that actually has changed. So I'm a recovering hyperachiever. And I guess one of the things that I didn't do in my first business was I didn't celebrate my success in my mind.
Mhm.
Yes, I rewarded myself with stuff, but I didn't actually, what would I say? I didn't really take on the identity of someone who was so grateful for their talent, so
Mhm.
grateful for
I
their
know.
capability.
Mhm. Well,
And
sometimes what happens in that is that we want to remain humble.
yeah,
You know, you don't want to be braggadocious, you don't want to be conceited, but the hell with all that. You got to reward yourself in your own mind and you got to say bravo because that keeps you going, right?
yeah, yeah. And I think in Ireland in particular, that's a cultural paradigm. And I have a US client at the moment, and their top salesperson is Irish. No, she's their top salesperson. But he said to me, he said, she doesn't want the recognition, she doesn't want praise. And she's the top salesperson quarter after quarter after quarter. But in Ireland, that's, don't get too big for your boots, is one of the sayings here.
Mhm.
So it's like, self praise is no praise. So we hear all of these, and they're crappy stories that people who don't want to excel, people who don't want to grow, it's very convenient for them to have those stories. But where we are ambitious and we do want to grow and we do want to excel and we do want to, make a difference in the world, then absolutely that should be celebrated. And absolutely, as you say, we should pat ourselves on the back.
Right, right, right. So, give me one of your success stories. Give me one of your favorite clients that you work with, or favorite mindset stories that you've shifted when you've worked with someone.
So I get outside of my own story where I used mindset from someone who struggled. I struggled with weight all through my teenage years and all through nursing, and I allowed my weight to identify my acceptance of success. So I'm always very honest about that story. But I have two clients that I can think of. One lady was a lady in a very, very high powered position in one of the corporate accountancy companies, one of the top five in the world, top five in Ireland. And she had achieved the highest level of success she could achieve. She was at director level, and she still felt not good enough. She still felt unhappy. And the pandemic, she was at a talk that I did just before the pandemic, and she ended up coming onto one of my webinars when we were only about 3 months into our first lockdown here in Ireland. And she said she came off that realizing she had no meaning from her job. She didn't feel any sense of purpose, any sense of fulfillment. And she realized life is short.
Mm, mm, mm.
So her dream was to have, her passion was yoga and holistic medicine. And her dream was to do, vacations with yoga retreats,
Wow.
yoga and mindset retreats. And she had her first retreat last year in Greece.
Mm. See?
So
And
she
again,
lived.
it's living the dream. If you do
Mhm.
what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
so what you have to do is step out on faith. You know,
Mhm.
feel the fear, yet do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's okay if you stumble, if you fall, even if you fail, because
Mhm.
then you have a template of what not to do the next time.
Yeah. It's just
And
learning.
it's just a learning process. And that's what we're here on this planet, I believe, is to
Mhm.
learn and to teach. What would you tell a 25-year-old AnneMarie Graham?
What I would tell her is don't let other people's stuff into your head. Don't let that become your stuff, because we all react from something emotionally within us. We judge from something within us. It's never about the other person, it's about us. So I would say don't take the identity of that person on. Don't take the behaviors and the thoughts of that person. Don't let them into your head. See your own path. Know what it is you really want. Really know what you want, and make a committed decision. I'm going for it. Do it.
I just get goose pimples when you say that because I have been listening to some meditations at
Yeah.
night. And I tell you, I've meditated before, but at the end of these tapes, it like a trigger just snaps. And I come into a whole different place. And I talk to myself now. I was somewhere, I was at the grocery store. I had just bought like $120 worth of grocery. And my favorite burger place was staring me in the face. And it was like doing like this to me. And I'm like, no. And I said to myself, now, April, you just went and spent $120 on groceries, and you're going to spend another $20 on a greasy burger when you could go home and make the same thing.
Yeah.
Just drive out of the parking lot. Just drive out of the parking lot. And I drove out of the parking lot and I came home. I didn't even make a burger. I made a salad. And let me tell you, it was probably the best tasting salad that I had had in weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, again, talking to yourself, changing that neuro-linguistic programming.
Mm-hmm.
At night, listen to some great meditations, go into prayer, go into a silent space, because in that silence is when volume speaks. You're going to hear the loudest messages when you are in a state of silence. Now, we talked a little bit about what this has brought you and what it's taught you. What does this transition cost you? Because we all have to pay a price. We all have to pay a price, if it's financially, if it's spiritually, it's with our relationships. Is, what has been your charge?
I guess in my first business, there were huge learnings in terms of cost, where I worked harder to further prove myself, to get the validation, to earn the higher salary, to have the better car, to have the nicer clothes, to have the designer purse. And purses and handbags are one of my things. But it cost me in terms of I was constantly striving for the next thing. And as a result, I wasn't present in my life at that time. And it did, in terms of relationships, it did cost me that the business kind of became my life. The business took my life over. And I became validated by the success of the business. So it was easier because the business was growing in success. So it was easier to maybe shut out, say, romantic relationships, because I hadn't so much luck in that area.
Yeah, you had other things to fill it. And again, you said something that very pointed, is that chasing that happiness high.
Yeah.
Brains is a drug, just like cocaine, cigarettes, and alcohol. What is the next shiny object that's going to make me happy? What is the next purse I'm going to buy? What's that designer going to come out with? What is the next, luncheon that I can host for the girls? All of these things are temporary fixes. And what I encourage you to do is to learn to be consistent and to learn to just balance out and live in the moment. We see people, everybody sees people die day after day after day. I've got some friends that this one woman, she was so excited. She had never traveled and she was waiting to retire to travel. 30 days before her retirement, she passed away.
Oh, wow.
So if you have an opportunity to tack off things, not on your bucket list, but on your life list, do those things. Enjoy your family, because that's all we have. When you die, the hearse is not going to have your purses. It's not going to have your condo. It's not going to have your diamonds. None of that is going to go in that box with you. None of it. So you have to learn to enjoy life right now. So let's ask you some personal things about how you enjoy life. Okay. What is one of your guilty pleasures?
Guilty pleasures is handbags and shoes. They're my guilty pleasures. Yeah, shopping is my guilty pleasure. Love my handbags, love my shoes. Other guilty pleasures. What else do I have? Yeah, I'm prone, to cocktails. Don't give me a cocktail menu. I might have one too many of those.
That's all
That
right.
could be a guilty pleasure.
If you had 3 wishes, 3 magical wishes, what would they be?
My first wish would be that obviously my friends and family would have health, happiness, wealth. My second wish would be that people would see the phenomenal potential they have within them, and that I could help them do that. It would be my wish that people wouldn't take on the limiting beliefs because of stuff that was created for them. And my third wish would be that we would have more alignment and harmony in our world. I think that the word at the moment is a little disjointed, and I would love to see more harmony across the globe.
Me too, but
Mm.
as I read in many texts that there are necessary evils, unfortunately, to separate the wheat from the straw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there is a lot going on in the world, and they're false prophets.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
they're wolves in sheep clothing. So
Yeah.
we have to be able to have a sense of discernment.
Yeah.
And I can taste it on my tongue. I can tell, I can go into a room and gauge a spirit. And sometimes it's kind of spooky because I'm right on point.
Mm-hmm.
We were having breakfast, me and Mr. Magnificent, and this woman pulled into the space next to me. And I just looked at her, and we were in the car. I'd never met her before. And I said, something about her is not right, dear. I don't like her. He goes, oh, don't be judgmental. Well, my judgment is my boundaries.
Yeah.
We get into
Mm-hmm.
the restaurant, we're not in there 10 minutes, and she shows out something ugly. And he goes, wow, you pegged that. So,
Yeah.
follow your intuition, follow your North Star.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a situation and you feel that it is not for you, step back, take a breath. So I appreciate that. Anna, if you were AnneMarie, if you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be and why?
What appliance? I would be the NutriBullet probably, because you can put all the ingredients in and you can, have a beautiful smoothie or a beautiful juice, but you need the ingredients in it before you press the button.
Absolutely. I think I'd be the refrigerator. I just want to chill. Just want to keep cool and just chill. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
What animal would I be? Probably a horse. I think horses are really graceful but very powerful.
I'd be the party animal.
I might be that too. I've been accused of being that too, April.
Exactly. And tell us a little bit about your program and your business and the what you're pouring into individuals, what you want them to take away after working with you.
So I guess at the seed of everything I do with people is looking at getting them from where they are to where they want to be. So I want them to look at the goal, not what do they think they could achieve, but what's the dream. And then it's about working backwards and looking at the blocks and just really increasing their vibration, their level of vibration, the low vibration is the way we think. So it's getting them to think in a different way, to reframe old paradigms, perceptions that are not serving them. So it's about getting them to change the way they're looking at stuff so that what they're looking at then changes and moves them forward as opposed to keeps them stuck. So I typically work with people for a minimum of 6 coaching sessions, but the clients that I have the most success with are clients that I work with for 6 to 12 months
Wow.
because the mental programming is there. It was created for us in our little life. The paradigm is there. I say to people, it's like the software in your computer. It's what brings up the stuff on the screen of your computer, and you don't change that overnight.
Right.
So you need time to work, and you need time for someone to work through what their blocks are and how it's keeping them stuck.
You've done such a great job in transitioning and pivoting into a new career. But what would you say to that nurse that's bedside right now, that's struggling, that is, she knows that what she's doing is God's work, that is the work of an angel, but she's tired and she's burnt out. How do you keep her encouraged?
I would get her to look at, one of the things that I had quite a bit of guilt over was when I left the clinical nursing profession to start the business. So although I was still nursing per se, it was workplace health screen, and I was running the business. So I had a certain amount of guilt around, oh God, I'm a nurse, I shouldn't be making money out of people's health. And if I'm being honest, there were a number of comments made from other nurses and people within the profession that kind of fed that. What I would say is look at what it is you really want. So I knew clinical nursing, neuro rehab wasn't where I wanted to stay. Long hours, working Christmases, crap pay, working weekends. I wanted more, but I was afraid of the feeling of wanting more because I was afraid I was letting, God's work down. This is what I was born to do. But I do that now in a very different way. So what I would say to any nurse who's struggling is tap into what is it that you really want? What's the gift you're bringing to people? And it doesn't have to be at a bedside.
Right. Because there's so many different avenues. You could go into teaching. You could level up and be a nurse practitioner. You could go into research. And I'm seeing a lot of nurses going into the holistic space and the integrated medical space, and also hospice, because they understand the transition of the soul, that it is not just the physical shell. Whether you are religious or not has nothing to do with it. There is a transition, and you see the life and death, but also, again, pat yourself on the back for the great work that you do. If you are bedside, you take a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of caring. You build relationships. There's trust. These people trust you for their medication, for their food, for the correct communication. You are doing an amazing job. So I encourage you 110%. I love nurses and I love teachers. I think they are the best people on the planet. So in closing, a little bit about your upcoming offerings or programs that you have online, and definitely how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, so my website is mindsetsuccessstrategies.com. That has a number of programs. I'm launching a new program actually at the end of the summer called Elevate, and that will be a 7-week program. There'll be an element of self-study, but there'll also be a coaching VIP section with me. So that's kind of the lower ticket, because very often we think, oh, I'd love to work with a coach, but I can't afford it. So that allows someone to come into my community, come into my space. It allows me to elevate their results. And then going up then into the 6 and 12-month programs. But all of the programs, those programs are on the website, which is mindsetsuccessstrategies.com. And just April as well to point out, if they go onto the contact page on my website, they can book a 30-minute strategy call with me. It's, a discovery call around where they are in their life versus where they'd like to be. I don't try and push programs on people. I just have a coaching conversation. And if they go away with a takeaway, which I'm sure they will, that's enough for me. At some point, that energy will come back and they may decide to work with me. They may not, but as long as they've got something out of it that they can make a change in their life for the better, that's really what my passion is. To enable people to see themselves.
Who could resist working with you? Right? I tell you, every single interview is that I go around the world, 48 now, different countries, to find the best and the brightest, the most empathetic, the most transparent, authentic people that I can, that care, that want to see you thrive. It's not about them. They've already been there, done that. They've done the work. They want to see you be successful. They want to be the one that you talk about in the next meeting. They want to see you elevate beyond where they are, because that lets them know that they've poured into a very valuable well. So please go in, have that consultation. 30 minutes via Zoom could literally change your life. Also, go in and like, love, share, and subscribe. You see this? I'm putting it right in your face. On the Edge with April Mahoney. There is now about 1,900 different episodes, everything from soup to nuts. Jazz, love, music, nursing, healthcare, home care, or just whimsical stuff, how to crochet. But we want you to be happy in whatever you decide to do, because that's all that we have is happiness. And don't get it like a high. Don't get stuck on it. Find contentment right where you are. Thank you the best.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Brent.